Mhm, mhm.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Key Elementary School virtual information session. This information session will be providing families with some information in regards to the elementary school. If you do have any questions, please feel free at any time to ask a question in the Q&A section on the right-hand side of your screen. Just ask at any time, and throughout the presentation, we'll be answering questions. And then also, if you need Spanish interpretation, please leave us a message. A remark in the Q&A, and we will have the presentation interpreted for you. And at this time, I will hand it over to Ms. Perdomo.
Thank you, Daryl. Thank you so much for your support, and welcome parents to this informational session. Bienvenidos todos. I am joined tonight by our assistant principal, Ms. Nicole Maldonado, and also I am joined by Mr. Pardo, who you see on the picture here, Ms. Maldonado in the red dress. And we are the administrative team, and together we work with the staff of our wonderful Key School to provide best quality education, bilingual education to your children. We also have two of our kindergarten teachers joining us tonight. They are Mrs. Eteld and Senora Mosel. They are a team, and they'll be available for any specific questions regarding the kindergarten experience. I am very excited to have the opportunity to talk to you today about Key School, to discuss a little bit the benefits of dual language, to share some highlights about our school, talk about some kindergarten readiness recommendations for the parents who are bringing their kindergarteners to us, and share some information regarding the next steps for registration. At the end, we will have an opportunity for questions and answers. And as Daryl just said, feel free to be typing those. And Mr. Maniscalco, who is our instructional technology coordinator, will be moderating the chat. Let's talk a little bit about our mission. Of course, we are a dual language school where students are educated in Spanish and in English, and our goal is that they become bilingual, biliterate, bicultural citizens of the world. We provide a rich academic environment where the students learn the same content that is taught in non-immersion schools. So when you are at Key, as a student, you are held to the same high standards that all Arlington public schools are held to, and we are learning the same curriculum as any other student at the elementary level. The difference is that we learn the curriculum either in English or in Spanish. More to come about that. In addition to bilingual education, of course, we are also educating the whole child. We strive to help our students become respectful, responsible, trustworthy, and kind members of the school, their community, and the world. We believe that we are educating global citizens that will grow up to be kind, to be understanding, to develop flexibility in their thinking, and of course, an appreciation and an understanding of others' perspectives, cultures, and languages. We are committed to integrating instruction based on biliteracy and bilingualism in Spanish and English with core academic areas. As I said before, we follow the same curriculum as mandated by the state, and the students are learning that curriculum as they develop their language proficiency in the two languages. Everyone at Key is learning another language, and in many cases, a third and fourth language. We provide opportunities for our families and our staff to share the rich and vast cultural heritage that we all bring to Key School, and that we celebrate our diverse backgrounds in meaningful ways. Why dual language? Well, dual language, and you have made the choice to bring your students to Key Elementary, and we are so glad that you are giving them the opportunity of a lifetime. Developing fluency in two languages is a long process, And starting early, we know from research, gives the students a tremendous advantage. As they begin their journey in developing another language, they are at the same time increasing their ability to develop native-like pronunciation. That means that when they are starting at this age, very young, they are able to develop proficiency and they are developing the skills to sound like a native speaker of that language. In addition, students are also developing that plasticity in the brain that is going to enable them to add more languages. From my experience previously working as supervisor of world languages, I remember very fondly the students that I met that came from the immersion program who were taking either Arabic or Chinese or French or many of the languages that are offered in APS. And for them, according to their report, it wasn't really that difficult, but the reason for that is that they had early on developed that flexibility to acquire another language by beginning with Spanish early in their lives. Developing another language also has a positive effect on your intellectual growth and enables you to expand that to academic areas because, of course, this is a challenging endeavor. And as you develop and negotiate meaning in another language, you're also developing that ability to tackle tasks in other subject areas with more ease. Therefore, you are developing problem-solving skills that are going to transfer to many areas of learning beyond acquiring the language. And as we know, also in the global world that we live in, having the ability to speak another language and to interact with people from different backgrounds and be comfortable dealing with different situations is something that in the workforce is highly valued. So our youngsters are developing skills that are going to take them, that they're going to take with them all the way through college and into their adult lives as they join the workforce. Key is a very diverse school, and we are very proud of it. As you can see in the slide here, we've got over 700 students currently this year. There are 16 home languages represented at Key. About half of our students are Hispanic. The majority or many of them may be native speakers, but we also have many students who are second generation or what we call heritage speakers of Spanish. We are diverse not only ethnically, we're also diverse socioeconomically and linguistically. And we all at Key, we value and we celebrate that we have such diversity that we interact with in the school. When you get the chance to visit the school, if you haven't had that opportunity, you will see that our staff is also very diverse, not only in these ways that I have described, but we also in the myriad experiences that they bring with them. And therefore, we are a very strong community that is very used to having a multinational in a very perspective that develops an appreciation for others and where they come from. And we have a strong emphasis on developing also empathy and being open-minded about our fellow citizens. As you know, Key and Claremont are two sister schools, and they are option schools. We serve the schools as listed here, and we, of course, go through the process as you have participated in, process of application and then selection and then acceptance to be able to attend Key. Some questions have come up about transportation at the bottom. It's explained that transportation has been provided to students who live within the neighborhood schools designated for Claremont and Key and live more than a mile from the school. A typical day at Key, we are what we call in Arlington a late start school. We go from 9 a.m. until 3:41 p.m. We are able to offer, and this is something that we very much enjoy doing, we are able to offer in a morning recess. So if you can bring your child at 8:30 and bring him or her to the playground or to the field. We have staff who are assigned to supervise this recess, and the students can enjoy an opportunity to talk to other kids, to play, and to get that energy going before they go to class. So it's an excellent thing that we do for our kids, in addition to the recess that they get during the day. At 8:50, students are picked up by their teachers, and then they go to their classroom. What's really important to understand is that at Key, the majority of the students, we have a couple of classes where that doesn't happen, but all the other classes have two main teachers. So if they begin the day in English, they do a block where they study social studies, English language arts, reading and writing, in one language. So in this case, it would be English, and that it may be followed by a 1 hour of special, which could be library, art, music, or physical education. They may then go to recess or lunch, depending on the schedule. Recess is for 30 minutes, and then they have 25 minutes for lunch, and they switch halfway through the day to their opposite language. So if they began the day in English, for the afternoon, they go to the Spanish teacher, and they switch classrooms. The classrooms are adjacent for the most part, or right across the hallways. So the students go to that afternoon class, and then if it's the Spanish classroom, they study science and mathematics and Spanish language arts. The typical day ends at 3:41, but if we have an early release day, students go home at 1:26. There are about 7 or 8 days scheduled to be early release days. I encourage families to download the calendar from the APS website and mark those on your calendars, your phones, because on those days, typically they are Wednesdays, but we do have some Thursdays, which is when we have parent-teacher conferences. So on those days, of course, you have to adjust your routine, and it's really important that you take note of when those dates are. As I said before, 2 languages, 2 classrooms, 2 teachers. That is the majority of the students at Key. The exception are 2 of our teachers, one in the 2nd grade and one in the 3rd grade, that they teach the entire day the same class. They are perfectly bilingual, so they're able to teach in the morning one language, and then in the afternoon the opposite language, and those students don't switch, but the majority of the students do switch, and so they have 2 teachers. As I said before, these are the subjects that they study in each class. This is another breakdown to show that we have, our program is 50-50, and that refers to how we break down the day. 50% of the day, the students are immersed in Spanish, and the other 50% of the day, they are immersed in English. The subjects are listed here that are taught in each language. We are very fortunate that we have art and music teachers who are bilingual, and so in addition to the students being in the classroom learning content in Spanish, math and science and language arts, they are also able to participate in art and music taught in Spanish, and that is a tremendous advantage because it gives them more time in the target language for the students. I'm going to share some highlights, and again, a reminder that later on you'll have an opportunity to ask questions. But some important highlights that I really want to share with you tonight, because they show how we are such a unique school, and we take pride in being that way. Here you see some photographs. One of them is a potluck dinner that we do in the fall, and the other one is one of our teachers with her child, and this is for the Halloween parade. These are 2 of the events that we provide, that we schedule at Key every year, that are welcomed by the community, because we are a community. We are not just an elementary school. We see ourselves as a community. We value the participation of our parents. We invite them to come to the school for different activities, as you see here. We enjoy having them visit, and we work very closely with our PTA. Our Parent Teacher Association does a tremendous amount of work for the school, for the parents, and to us as a community. It really helps us to build those links and get all of our parents involved, because we believe that parents and teachers working together really yield the best results for the students. Other initiatives that we have, some of them, the majority happen during the school day, but some of them are also provided after school. So the activities listed here are done during the school day. Some of them, for example, the Hour of Code, our ITC, Mr. Maniscalco, who is here tonight, works with our gifted teacher, and they provide these activities for the students. All students get to participate. The makerspace is also open for students to be creative, to put into practice many of the STEM skills that we know students are going to need to develop, and that we start early on. So other opportunities are listed here, and we, for many of these, invite parents to come to the school so that they can see their children participating in these activities. And some of those activities also open the door for parents to participate by reading with their children or by reading to other students, and parents very much love that, because it's an opportunity to see what is going on during the school day. We also value the relationship that we have established with the International Spanish Academy Consortium, and this is by the Ministry of Education and Science of Spain. This has been in place for a number of years, and we are very fortunate to be in this partnership, which affords us the opportunity to have a cultural ambassador. This is most of the time is a teacher or teacher in training that goes through a highly selective process in Spain to be awarded this scholarship opportunity, and they come to Key School for an entire year to work with the students, to work with the teachers, and they are hosted by one of our families. We have had this program in place for over 20 years, and we value it immensely, and the opportunities that we have through this agreement with the International Spanish Academy organization. Some of the after-school activities that we have are listed here. Believe it or not all of them are listed because we have so many. I talk about them because sometimes parents are thinking about, okay, what else can I provide for my child outside of the school schedule? And at Key, we have really made an effort to be able to provide a variety of activities, some academic, some sports, some arts. I mean, you can see the whole gamut here. And the PTA does a lot of this work to bring high quality programs. And also for many of our students who need support, in terms of paying tuition, through the generosity of our parents and the work of all of our parents, organized by PTAs, students get scholarships to be able to participate in many of these activities. So it's great. Some kids who may not have the opportunity to go and take piano lessons or do karate, or and parents not having to worry about driving their kids after school. These are brought to Key, and then the parents can pick up their children after the activities. And so, as you can see, we are rich and diverse in the opportunities that we provide, not only during the school day, but also after school. We also believe strongly in strong partnerships with our community, and we have established all the partnerships that you see here. And again, the main goal is to enhance opportunities for the students. Some of these organizations provide direct service, such as Everybody Wins, who has mentors come and read to the students during lunch, and others provide indirect support by donating money to the school or by providing resources to the teachers. You may have heard this, and I wanted to explain and make sure to mention that Key will be relocating in the summer of 2021. That is still in in the works, and we are moving to the site that is now occupied by Arlington Traditional School. Some people, parents have asked about the feeder schools for Key. Are they changing with the fact that we are relocating? This is something that APS is looking into, so we don't have an answer about it yet. But we know that we provide a high quality program no matter where we are. Although we are going to miss being in the building that we're at right now, we are taking our name with us, and we are taking all our talent and our children, and we will continue to serve the kids in the same excellent way that we have so far. Okay, some questions about kindergarten, since I anticipate that there may be some kindergarten parents joining us. That's the majority of the new families that we have, by the way, begin with us at kindergarten. So here are some questions or some information that you can use. This is an example of how the day breaks down, and it seems like a lot, but this is, believe me, the kindergarten teachers who are joining me tonight will tell you that the kids get used to the schedule. I'm sharing that so that you can see this would be on the English side of the day. And basically it just talks, presents how the students are going to be following the schedule for the day, and embedded are the specific times, for instruction, so that that we are all following the same requirements of the district when it comes to the amount of time for each subject. And then, of course, for recess and lunch, as I said, those are mandated, 30 minutes for recess, 25 for lunch. We also provide the opportunity for children to have a snack. So this is what the classroom, the schedule would look like for a teacher on the English side of the day, and on the Spanish side it would be similar, except that they're seeing two different groups of students. And I share that because as you get your child ready for kindergarten, it's important to establish some routines, and we recommend some things such as make sure that they know their full name and last name. If they can write it, that would be great. You can be practicing that during the summer. If they have an older sibling at Key, that they know, of course, their full name, and if they know the grade and possibly the teacher, that is an excellent skill to have, because the little guys sometimes, they kind of get probably, they're homesick, or, and sometimes it helps if we know and they know, hey, I've got a sister in the 4th grade and she's with Senora Verde Soto, and so, that gives them some comfort as well. Of course, that they know their parents' name, full name, not just Joe, but hopefully that you begin to practice that they say the full name and last name. If you can spend time teaching them your phone number, one phone number for the home is important for them to know. And when you get the bus assignments, this is going to be later in the summer as we get close to the beginning of the school year. And of course, this could change. We don't know exactly what opening schools is going to look like, but buses are coded with a number and a color. So when you get that information, begin to practice with the child so that they are able to say, my name is so-and-so, and I ride this bus, and I've got an older sibling. So it gives the kids a lot of self-confidence when they have this information. Other things that we want you to continue to do at home is to emphasize those positive behaviors that we instill in our children, such as sharing and being kind and showing empathy, using nice words or whatever, kind words, whatever language you have at home, but making sure that all of that they bring with them when they come to school. It's also super important that they understand that play fighting can result in a lot of commotion if they end up hurting someone. So we discourage play fighting at all times, and it's super important that they understand that, well, number one, toys are not allowed in school unless there's some special project, and you would know about that ahead of time. And so it's important that they understand that, and if they have at home any type of toy weapon that they're not tempted to bring them to school or anything like that. So it's important to be discussing those things with them so that when they come to school, they understand that there are certain rules that they're going to be asked to follow. The teachers will do a wonderful job teaching them all of these, but of course, we are partners in their education. So if you're delivering the same message that we are, then the better the outcome for the students. Some other routines that you want to consider, it's hard, summertime is coming and, there's light, the day is longer and so forth. But I do encourage parents at least 3 weeks before the start of the school to have a set routine for going to bed, getting up at the same time. If once you know what time the bus is going to pick up your child, it is a long day for the kindergarteners. And so if they're taking a nap, you kind of begin to wean them off of that so that they're able to have the stamina for the full day. And also, make sure that they eat a full breakfast and try to keep it, breakfast at Key, if they're going to eat at Key, is at 8:30. And kindergarteners usually have lunch at around 11. There's time for snack, but nonetheless, make sure that you have those routines in place. Those are words of advice that come from parents, and I can share that as a parent as well, but just some things that are important for parents to know. Of course, continue with preparing them for reading and writing, and that readiness comes from being read to, participating in read alouds, maybe with if it's virtual now that we are in this current situation, they can do enlist maybe the help of grandparents, uncles, aunts, to read with your child or to your child, even if it's virtual. And hopefully if our local libraries have some kind of program keeping appropriate social distance, if you can attend some of those story times, those are really, really good for kids. We last year were able to offer some story time en español, in Spanish, at Key once a week during the summer. Because the schools are closed, we're not able to do something like that. But if we hear of any changes that may enable us to do it, then I'll be communicating that to parents through the website. And also, since we have your contact information from your application, any type of opportunity like that, I'll make sure that you get that information. There are often questions, especially if you don't speak Spanish at home, and are wondering, how do I help my child? And what if they bring homework that I don't understand? And how, I'll just say, be patient and be supportive and celebrate every success in the target language. Anything that the kids say, even if they are making up sort of like a new language where they're combining and reciting things that they hear their teachers say. That was an anecdote from one of our kindergarten parents this year that said that she has twins and her children were talking with each other, and whatever they didn't know in Spanish, they were filling in English, and it was sort of like a Spanglish, but they were communicating, and that is super important. So celebrating those victories and also having realistic expectations. Language learning is a process, it's a journey. It takes years, just as we did not develop our full language capability until later, took us 3-4 years, some people longer, so it is in the second language. It's not too hard, we know how to do it, but of course it takes effort and risk taking, and I think it's super important to keep driving that message that it's something that is going to come with time. Our teachers do a wonderful job easing the children into the language that they're learning so that they don't feel that the task is insurmountable. And always, if you have a question, a doubt, if you're not sure, make sure that you reach out to us, to the teachers or to the administrators. Someone can help, and we are ready to help because we've been doing this for many years, and we count on that experience to be supportive of your experience as well. Communication for us is key. Pun intended, key is communication. I send the principal's weekly message to parents, and that includes information about events. It includes announcements, celebrations for different classes, what is happening. That message is a way to keep you informed and keep you, with current events. And we believe, both Ms. Maldonado and I, that open and constant communication is essential. The PTA also sends a weekly message with many other activities. At the end of the presentation, there is a link to sign up to be a part of the PTA or their communication. The teachers send a monthly newsletter from each team informing parents of the curriculum and assignments or tests that are taking place during that month. Friday folder, each child takes home a red Friday folder with important information, forms, and some work maybe that the teachers are sending back home after scoring it. So we ask that parents also be mindful of checking that every Friday, signing and then returning it to school on Mondays. We send school talks, communications just as the district does, and when something happens that's out of the ordinary, such as maybe a bus broke down and they're sending another bus to pick up the students, then we send those messages as well. We also have used social media. In addition to posting messages to our website, we have a social media account, Twitter and Facebook. And there's also a WhatsApp account that our PTA helps to manage. So there's a lot of communication. I think we take pride in making sure that, we communicate often and that you hear from us and that you know what's happening at Key. Okay, I went through that one. Okay, something really important as we go through this process. If there's any change in your address, phone, or email, please make sure that you let us know, especially now that the school is not open to the public. Any changes have to be communicated because then we make the corrections in the database that we use, and all the letters, anything that we send to parents as we get ready to open or, to start the new school year, we need to make sure that information is accurate. Also, do let us know if the child has two parents, two homes that need to receive two sets of communication. It's important that we know that. Some parents have asked about school supplies. If you visit our website, you're going to see the class lists for supplies posted. The PTA also has an initiative. They purchase EduKits, which are assembled kits that include what the students are going to need. Those are not mandatory. It's up to you if you wish to buy them. Some parents are asking me, should I buy them now? Should I wait? It really is totally up to you. Of course, you can buy those same supplies at a Target or any store of your choice. But that is something that is available should you wish to purchase right away. They're ordered and they usually come in the summer, and then the PTA volunteers and others distribute them directly to the classrooms. And so those lists, as I said, I posted. Please make sure that you visit the Key PTA, the Key website, so that you can find the links. Some registration information was made available yesterday, and it is listed here. Of course, now that the buildings are closed and we don't have the ability to have families come and register their children in person, there's a whole set of steps for parents to be able to do the registration online. And again, this presentation is going to be posted, so the links are there for you to access. It also lists the documents that you're going to need since you have gone through the process of accepting the invitation to bring your your children to Key. This would be the next step. Second part of registration. So there is a way to contact for questions. You can either send an email or you can also call the APS Welcome Center. In terms of contacting the PTA, as I said, we work very closely together. The image that you see here is one of our PTA moms delivering some supplies to families. We also worked very closely to make sure to provide some food to families that were in need. And so it is an incredible organization. The work that they do for the community, for all of our kids, is really something amazing. So our current PTA is Mrs. Rich, Alicia Rich. She is, I believe her term ends this month, and then Ms. Erin, I'm sorry, I wrote Ms. Erin Lester is Ms. Erin Freya Smith. I'm going to correct that. But she's going to be our president starting in July. I'll go ahead and send that correction. And also, if you would like more information or to communicate with them directly, you can go to the links here and you can get in touch with them. They also have a list of Q&A, very important questions for parents. So at any point, make sure that you visit the website. But also really important that you know that we are here to answer your questions, that we are delighted to welcome you to Key, and we hope to be able to meet you in person if we didn't have that opportunity before. But of course, we're going to wait to get guidance from our district regarding what opening the schools will look like and also opening buildings. Until then, please know that the Señora Maldonado and I and Señor Pardo are here available virtually by email to answer any questions that you may have. With that, I am going to let Mr. Maniscalco tell us if there are any questions, and then we have also our kindergarten teachers in case there are specific questions about the kindergarten day. Mr. Mann. Hello? Daryl?
Yes.
Yes, so I don't know if there are any questions in the chat that we would like, any questions that we can answer for the community?
Yes, there are. One. So what if APS starts the school year virtually? How will that work with the immersion aspect, particularly for kindergarten?
Yes, so if APS does decide that we open virtually, we have, of course, have already done 3 months of virtual, although we did not do synchronous instruction. Our teachers did develop skills to utilize some of the platforms that we know APS is going to make available, so that we would have a plan to be able to begin instruction, because we would have to begin the year, but using any of the platforms that are approved by APS. So in this case, for example, it would be either Canvas, or if we're able to provide synchronous instruction, we would make sure that the instruction is provided in the target language. We would have, of course, an opportunity for the students to know what the day is going to be like. We know that it is far from ideal to have to start the year virtually, but we have recently acquired a program to develop Spanish language skills that also has a strong virtual component. So we intend to start the year as we would regularly by teaching the 2 languages. But of course, synchronous instruction is going to be a fundamental piece of our work, because that's how we're going to be connecting with the students and building the language skills. I have to say that at Key, given that we already went through these challenges, and we were, this was totally unexpected. But we've been trying different ways to approach instruction, and should we be starting the year virtually, I believe that we are well positioned to take on that challenge because of the work that went on and the experience that the teachers have had this year.
Okay. The next one is for non-native Spanish households. Can you share any tips for parents to get kids ready for the experience of language immersion?
Yes, I would say that if you have any type of, if you have the opportunity to listen to stories or, and I know that, you know, if we were now in a regular situation, I would say visit the fairs that we have and go to the story time opportunities that the library provides in Spanish. I don't know what's going to be made available, but I would say if there's a story time done in Spanish that is virtual, I would say make sure that you take advantage of those. If you have songs or if you have a way to, you know, and this is something that we can also share because we know the kindergarten teachers have a wealth of resources of perhaps some songs that they have been teaching the students. It's going to be a lot of listening and developing that sort of like the feeling comfortable with the Spanish language. The speaking part is going to be a little bit more challenging because it would require being in a situation, and some children are not going to be. I mean, if you have somebody to speak Spanish with, but they don't know them, they're not going to be participating as willingly as perhaps as if they were face to face. But I would say any opportunity that you have, maybe take a story that the child loves, and if you find it in Spanish, then read that same story, and then you can discuss it in English. You can say, you know what, let's take a look and see, let's see if we can find some words that kind of sound similar. Or if they are already decoding, maybe find some words that kind of have the same spelling, and then talk about how the two languages do have a lot of commonalities. And there's programs where the kids can listen to a story, and as they follow the story, it is read aloud to them. So that's another way to become familiar with the sound and the intonation patterns in Spanish until, you know, they have the opportunity to have actual interaction in the target language.
Okay, and we have a question in Spanish. How
Yes.
many students does each class have, and how many kindergarten classes does Key have?
La pregunta está hecha para que la conteste en español. Did you say that they want the in Spanish, I mean the answer in Spanish?
Yes, because the question was in Spanish. I just was able to have it translated.
Oh, ok. So, la pregunta, gracias por participar y por favor disculpe, al comienzo preguntamos si alguien necesitaba interpretación. Como no escuchamos, no di la interpretación, pero con mucho gusto esta lo podemos proveer en español más adelante y ponerla en el website. Las clases, según lo que APS dicta, deben tener 25 niños máximo, con una maestra y un asistente de maestra. En Key tenemos 6 clases de kinder y este año también tuvimos, en este momento tenemos 6 clases y estamos proyectados para tener también 6 clases. Con este año, más o menos el promedio de niños es de 21, 22. El año que viene no sabemos todavía, pero podemos tener hasta 25. The question was how many students per class and how many kindergarten classes we have. We have 6 classes. And we are we are planning on 6 again. Per APS, we could have as many as 25 in each class. It went up this year. It was 24 before. Each classroom has 1 teacher and 1 full-time kindergarten assistant.
Okay, and the next question is, this one was in Spanish as well. So to what extent do children begin with the required program?
Not sure that can you read it again?
To what extent do children begin with the required programs?
Oh, ok. Los niños empiezan el programa regular desde el primer día. Nosotros estudiamos el mismo currículo que los niños en otros en otros colegios, así que desde que empiezan la escuela están estudiando los mismos temas que se estudian en una escuela que no sea de inmersión. So we do begin with the programs that are, the curriculum on day one for every grade. The students, the difference is, as I said before, that they're taught in different languages, but the program begins on day one. Thank you.
The next question is, how many hours a day will the virtual school day be?
That is a question that I don't have an answer for, because once we hear from the district what the opening of the school is going to look like, that's going to be determined centrally.
And I'm just checking to make sure no new questions came in or any that were missed. I believe that, let me check. Okay, that is all of the questions.
Okay, well, great.
Marlene, the question in Spanish was asking about enrichment. For what grade can they start enrichment?
Oh, okay. I see. Okay, thank you for clarifying, Mr. Pardo. Enrichment is the opportunities that are after school. There's three different sessions that are run throughout the school year, and they typically don't begin until mid-October. And they're open to all students beginning. It depends on the camp, depends on the requirements. So because they are, age appropriate, but it's open to all the students at Key. I don't know if Senora Maldonado wants to add anything.
I think you've said it, captured it well. And yes, the enrichment classes, depending on what class it is and what type of activities they are working on, they are open to all students, and some do have specific grade levels that they work with.
Thank you.
And there is another question that I'm seeing. Do you have a policy for twins? For example, are they placed in different classrooms automatically or based on parents' request?
Oh, that's an excellent question. The majority of our twins, the parents ask that they be in the same team, but in the switch class. So for example, Mrs. Etelt is the English teacher and her partner is Ms. Senora Mosel, who teaches in Spanish. They have twins. One of them would be in the morning and the other one starting the day with Mrs. Etelt in the afternoon. And the other child would be starting the day with the other teacher, so that they have the same two teachers to discuss and talk about, the program and any questions that they have, but the children themselves are not in the same classroom. So we really value the input that parents give us. I would say the majority of parents want to go with that, having them, as I explained. Rarely do we have a request to keep them in the same class. It's not a policy per se, it's a practice, but we like to hear from parents because you know your children well, and you can tell us how you feel about that.
And there is another question. Can you explain the transfer process for kindergarten students from the bus into the school?
Senora Maldonado, would you like to talk about that?
Absolutely. So in the morning, starting at 8:30 in the morning, we have 5th grade and some 4th grade patrols that are outside with staff members that have been assigned to the certain areas of the school building where the bus will enter and then drop off students. So, there's typically an administrator out on both sides of the bus route when dropping off students. These students are met by a patrol and an adult right at the bottom of the stairs of the bus, and they are typically escorted with a patrol over to the playground if they are at school between 8:30 to 8:45 in the morning, which is where there are about 9 to 12 staff members supervising the playground as they're playing for those 15 minutes. After that, the students will line up and meet their teachers, and they will go inside escorted by their teacher. So typically they are together. There's patrols on the bus, and when they offload, there's a patrol and an adult waiting for them. Same thing happens in the afternoon when they load the buses. Any other questions?
Yes, let me see. There's another one that just came in.
Senora Maldonado, in Spanish, one is asking about, besides recess and lunch, are there any other times kindergarten students interact with one another?
Thank you.
So we have morning recess. Let me switch over to Spanish and then I'll translate it. Tenemos el recreo de la mañana de 8:30 a 8:45, que son 15 minutos. Luego tenemos el recreo de la tarde, que son 30 minutos. Y también el almuerzo, que son 25 minutos, en cuando los niños están juntos. En el almuerzo están separados por mesas, por maestras. Y luego también hay una oportunidad en alguna de las clases especiales, por ejemplo, educación especial. Hay veces que sí tenemos más de una clase junta, pero esas son las oportunidades durante el día de cuando los niños pueden colaborar juntos. I'll switch over to English just to explain. For student collaboration and spending time with each other, we have the 15 minutes in the beginning of the day, which is morning recess, and that's an opportunity. If the bus does not come in or if the parent doesn't drop off before 8:45, then the student will have the opportunity to spend time with their other kindergarten peers during recess, which is 30 minutes, and then during lunch, which is 25 minutes during the day. So those are the times where they can collaborate with other kindergarten students that are in other classes.
Another question in Spanish was, can parents come and eat with their kids at lunch at least once a week?
So typically that is allowed. This year, we would just ask that parents email one of our staff members in the front office to let them know that they were coming in, and you would follow the check-in process where you would have to check in and receive a badge or a sticker that meant that you have been cleared by the main office. However, next year, due to everything that's happening with COVID-19, we're not sure what the policy will be moving forward in terms of parents coming in to the school and spending time with their child. As always, we are partners in their child's education, and so we want to be able to allow those opportunities, but we also have to follow the policies.
And then there's a follow-up question in English about twins. And so it says, in the case of virtual learning, would you consider allowing twins to be in the same class?
So in that case, this is Señora Perdomo again. We don't really know what it's going to look like. But if, for example, the way we did some of our meetings with the upper grades this year in virtual learning, and they did have that possibility because they had, all of them had a device. When the students, sometimes depending on the number of kids, were together with their teacher, and if there was that situation with siblings, they participated in the lessons together. So it really is a matter of course, understanding what the schedule is going to look like. But in the case of twins, of course, for parents to be able to organize their day, if it's something that makes more sense, provided that it's the same teacher, right? It seems like that would be something that we would consider, but we would just have to wait and determine, based on the plan that the district designs, how many hours of instruction that's going to be, and then how do we organize the schedule for those synchronous meetings. But it sounds like it's something that, of course, would make sense from the standpoint of the family organizing their day. It's a particular situation which is different from what would happen in the school in the regular classroom.
Okay, and it looks like that is all of the questions.
Well, excellent. Thank you to our kindergarten teachers also for joining us. And parents, please know we are here to answer any questions that you may have. Just don't hesitate to send us an email. Again, we're very excited that you have selected Key for your child or children. And I look forward to meeting you in person in the near future. Thank you and have a great evening. Muchas gracias por participar esta noche. Y por favor no dude en comunicarse con nosotros, ya sea mandándonos un correo electrónico o dejando un mensaje en el número que aparece allí. Y ojalá que podamos conocernos pronto. Muchas gracias por participar. May I just add one message that came in from the PTA president? It appears that some parents are having difficulty signing up for the PTA listserv. So I am going to add to the chat a message with an email address that they can use to let the person know that you're having difficulty and they can add you. But if you have paper and pen until I get it to the chat, it's very easy to remember. communications@keypta.org. communications@keypta.org. You can send an email there indicating that you're having difficulty signing up for the PTA listserv and they can enroll you. Thank you.